Welcome to Getting Back on the Track, or Where to Compete When You'd Rather Sprint Than Run. This presentation is for you if you are out of shape and unfit, but you think that 5Ks and marathons are way too long. It's also for you if you are active, but you've considered track and field as a fun possibility, something to add to your activity list. You may be a former high school or collegiate athlete, or even a former professional or Olympic athlete. You want to stay in shape, but you like to do it in a way that is familiar to you. So this presentation is for you if you fit one of these categories at least. Now I should introduce myself before we get too farther along. My name is Bobby G, Coach Bobby G, and I would consider myself a lifetime sprinter. I was a high school athlete and a multi-sport collegiate athlete. I even had the opportunity to coach at the collegiate level, basketball and football. And then my story is that I returned to sprinting around the time I turned 50. And so far, my highest achievement in terms of ranking is top 50 in the U.S. in 2015. We're going to see if we can't get to All-American one day. So, if you've gotten this far into the program, you might be wondering, why choose sprinting? Well, here are some ideas for you to consider. First of all, I believe it's very beneficial. It helps you with your weight loss goals, your health metrics like your cholesterol or those kinds of health metrics, your bone strength, because you're going to do a little bit of strength training to go along with the running. And it helps you with the stress reduction because it has moments of high intensity. So that's one set of benefits. The other reason you might want to consider is because it's familiar in terms of some of the workouts that you might have had to do when you were younger, or at least maybe you saw certain folks doing when you were younger. So it might be familiar. Another is that it can be pretty efficient, particularly if you use body weight training and high intensity interval training for some of your strength work, and you get on the track maybe a couple times a week. You can find that this can be fairly efficient. And then finally, it's got a little less impact than if you were running for 5Ks or marathon. You're going to be able to train on the grass or on a track, and even on the sand. It's going to be a little easier on your joints. But if you're going to do all this work because you love sprinting, your next question might be, where can you compete? And I like to say lots of places. Well, at least here in California. But I think as you go through this presentation, you'll begin to see where the opportunities are for you to compete. I like to describe those opportunities in terms of circuits. And there are two primary circuits that I would describe for you, and then there are a couple of other options as well. First off, there's the Masters Circuit, and then there's the Senior Circuit, and then there are other events that sort of have a circuit feel, and some are just simply events. Here listed are the WMA, which is the World Masters Athletics, a new event, the USA Masters, the State Games, and of course any open or all-comer meets in your community. Now, that first word up there under circuits is Masters. What's Masters? Well, first off, let's make sure you understand that Masters is an age classification, not a sport competence. You don't have to be really good to be a Masters athlete. You just have to hit the right age classification. So in the US, it is 30 and over, and internationally it's 35 and over. You compete in 5-year age group. So if you are a man who's 40 to 44 years old, you'll compete against other men in that same age grade, and so also with the women's example there, 65 to 69, you'll see women on the track competing with their own similar age grade, the own age division. The only reason that would be changed would be if there's not that many people at a meet, they might run the 40s and 50s together or the 60s and 70s together, but awards would be given based on the 5-year age division. So here's our first circuit. It's run by the USATF, and they are the governing body for high school, collegiate, Olympic, and masters track and field. They have local, regional, and national events annually. They have they're all-comer style events. And by all-comer style, I mean all you need to do is to show up, pay your entry fee, put on your spikes, and run. So that's an all-comer style, again 30 and over. And the USATF has the opportunity for you to become a member, and you can get discounts on clothing, gear. You can look like a U.S. Athlete. You can wear and represent as you go out on the track. So that's pretty cool. So that's the USATF. If you're looking for masters meets, that's who you would check out to see what's available in your community. And when I said local, regional, and national events, I want to make sure I go on that just a little bit more. And that is that a local event might be within an hour or so, maybe to whatever, driving distance from you, depending on where you live. A regional might be the association. So for example, I live in Southern California, and there's a Southern California Association, but there's also a Pacific Association, or Western Region, I can't remember what the title is. So if it's the Western Region, then they might have an event as well. And then there are national events. There's an indoor national and an outdoor national. And since they are all-comer style, that means every March or so you can attend the indoor national and run on an indoor track, one of the top caliber tracks in the country. Or in the summertime, July typically, then you would be able to run outdoors with lots of other athletes. And I would say that the Masters circuit is a bit more competitive than other circuits nationally. And so you will find some really great talent that are running Masters. And so if you're a person who likes to be very competitive, then the Masters might be a great place for you to find yourself. You're obviously welcome if you're not as competitive, but certainly if that is one of your motivators, then being at a USATF Masters Nationals would be a great place for you to find yourself. The next circuit is the Senior Games Circuit, and that's the website where you can find out more information about it. Senior Games Network oversees the network of state senior games. Each state has one qualifying games, and I'll explain that a little bit more. There are local senior games, state local senior games, and then national events as well. And it's a qualification style circuit. So, each even year you qualify for the championship year the next year, and they have qualifying standards. You can qualify on time, or you can qualify on place, and so there's a variety of ways you can qualify, and it's pretty fun, definitely very collegial. Senior Games, Masters Circuit is as well. Collegiate Games, Senior Games probably a little bit more so, but it is a qualification style, so you have to qualify for nationals. So that's something to keep in mind. So you know that you can prepare. You have a couple of years to get ready. And the national event, like most of the national events, are held in a different city each year. The next circuit I want to talk about is the State Games of America. State Games is a network, oversees a network of state games, yes, and this is an Olympic-style event, meaning lots of pageantry. There's a parade of athletes, and, even at the state level, and then they have a national event. And this circuit emphasizes youth, but they do have a masters section, masters divisions, and so in certain events, not every event, but in certain events. So you might check out state games, and I have qualified for both the senior games and the state games. So I've enjoyed competing, and I've gotten a chance to compete with professional athletes, former professional athletes in both those circuits. So it's been pretty cool. All right, it's a qualification style event, 30 and over, because it's masters, not seniors. So you have a qualification even year and the championship in the odd year. Now next up is an event. It's new. I've not yet attended, but it's a new sports festival. It started in 2016, and this year, 2017, is in San Diego. So since that's not too far, I'm looking forward to attending. It's an Olympic-style event, meaning lots of pageantry and lots of events, lots of sports, so that it's not all track and field. It's other sports as well. And then, what's unique about this one is it's 21 and over. So with that, then it's not truly masters in that sense, but it is masters as they're branding it. Then we have the World Masters Athletic Championship. World Masters is pretty competitive. This is the place to go if you want to compete internationally. There are other regional meets, but this is the world meet, and it's a little tricky sometimes to find out what's going on, but there is, for example, as you see here, 2018 meet is included in the name, but it's not World Masters Athletics 2018. It's Malaga 2018 because that's where it's going to be. Now, this is an Olympic-style event. There's a parade of athletes and some of that kind of stuff, but the focus is entirely on athletics. So, track and field, and I believe a little bit of the cross-country distances, but that I can't speak to. Nonetheless, for sure, athletics is their focus. So you won't see cycling at the World Masters Athletics Championship. International, so 35 plus, and so that's where you have an opportunity to meet folks from around the world and compete at a very high level. Another circuit was really an event, World Masters Games. I don't know much about this, except to say that you also might find it tricky to find out information. Googling World Masters Games will probably get you there. The next one is going to be, as you see there, in Auckland, New Zealand. And it's an Olympic style event, pageantry and all that kind of stuff, parade of athletes. And then it's a multi-event including athletics, and I really should have written multi-sport there. So multi-sport event including athletics, and since it's internationally, then it's a 35 plus for masters. So there you see a variety of places where you can compete, but I wanted to also give you some resources that you might want to check out as you consider getting involved in masters and senior sprinting. First off, I want to mention the National Masters News. It is a print and digital resource media, and it's run, here's the website there, nationalmastersnews.com, and its publisher, one of its publishers, is Amanda Scotty, who you see pictured here. This is, I think, at Senior Games. Amanda is really a top flight sprinter, and she's usually at the top of the leaderboard. And this is at the 2015 Senior Games, as a matter of fact. So you should check that out if you want some perspective on what masters athletes, not just athletics, but masters athletes in general are doing. And you can find out more information from Amanda's publication, the National Masters News. Now, another resource for media is masterstrack.com. Now, this is an online publication, so we'll call it a blog. It is media. It is run very journalistic style. So the publisher is, and there's a website there, masterstrack.com. The publisher, his name is Ken Stone. He's a reporter, and he reports on track and field news as he finds it, and he adds his perspective based on his years of covering track and field. He's covered track and field for a long time, so you'll find that interesting. Again, it is more than athletics, although that's the primary focus. Athletes of note will show up in there from time to time as well. So that's the masterstrack.com. So those are two places where you can find news of what's going on about different events and so forth and so on. Now, next up then, we ought to have some resources that will give you some perspective about how you might perform as an athlete once you get out on the track. And so I found that when we have some perspective, it's better for us as we move forward. So, first place I want to start with is mastersrankings.com. And mastersrankings.com is a database of all submitted results worldwide. So it's submitted either by an athlete or by an event organizer. And the results then are able to be tabulated, and you're able to be ranked according to where you are in the world. From a world perspective, comparing you to all athletes who have submitted in your age group, then comparing you in your region. So if you're in the North American or West, North American division, or the European division, or the whatever division it is, then you can see what kind of athlete you are in terms of that, and not what kind of athlete, but how you rate compared to other athletes, and then for your own country. So when I told you that I was top 50 in 2015, this is how I was able to find that out, because we have a site that does that. So, athlete ranking. Now, why is this important? For you as a sprinter, particularly if you are a former athlete, then you would get a chance to see what kind of times people in your age group are running, and then you can see what your goals might be so that you can be successful. All right, now another similar resource is the age grading. This again also helps you have perspective compared to your youth, particularly if it's been a number of years since you've been out on the track. Here's the website link, and what you can determine then after putting in your numbers, and you can see there's a variety of events there, so it's not just for sprints, there's walks, hurdles, throws, everything, right? So you can have perspective. Are you a world-class runner, a national class, a regional class, or a local class runner? And that's based on percent of the standard for the age group. So maybe you're running 12s or 13s, and you're in your late 50s, then you're probably a national class, or maybe even a world class runner, depending on how your times are. This also helps you see for All-American, if you know that you are shooting for that you really end up being a world-class runner if you qualify as an All-American. All right, now let's say you want to get some training in, and you're looking for some resources to get some ideas. Maybe you can't afford a coach right off the beginning, and you're just trying to set things in motion. There's a few I'll recommend. First off, I'll recommend Jimson Lee's site. It's called speedendurance.com. As you see there from his bio, he's a master's athlete and a coach, and he has been involved with track and field for a long time, and he has perspective, he has reviews of products, and then he has workouts and training philosophy ideas for you to work through. I think when you join his site, you'll get some sprint training manuals or some PDF books that you can look through and read, and that'd be good for you. Everything from a 400 meter down to a 100 meter. I don't believe any of those resources are for 800 meter, but it's been a little while since I've signed up onto his list, so I can't remember that detail right now. So he has, like I said, workouts, reviews, and his perspective on what's going on as he analyzes different sprinters and their technique and so on. And then, if you want some additional resources, here are some guys that I would like to recommend that you check out as well. These gentlemen you will typically see at the top of the leaderboard, both nationally and internationally. The first is a guy about the same age as I am. His name is Bill Yelverton. He's third from the left. And his blog is sprintforever.blogspot.com. And he documents his workouts. He documents his perspective on events that he competes in. And so you might find his perspective valuable for you. Another resource there by one of these gentlemen is Peyton Project by Oscar Peyton. He's the tall gentleman to the left. He's about 6'5", and as I remember from my conversation with him, he started sprinting around the age of 50, and one of his seasons, several years back, he documented most of the workouts that he did on a weekly basis. So if you wanted to have a blueprint for a season's worth of work, he might be a good place to start, even if just from the perspective of seeing how much work he did and what were some of his underlying philosophies. And then the last resource I'd want to share with you from these gentlemen is by Bill Collins. He is the fourth gentleman from the left. Of course, that means he's all the way to the right. He's a former Olympic class athlete and professional sprinter, and he's based in Houston, and he has some resources there. He's written a book, and he's also runs a track club that you don't have to live in Houston to be a part of, and he'll help you with your training and so forth and so on. So there's three guys there that have resources for you, and Charlie Alley is the gentleman second from the left. All these gentlemen are top tier elite sprinters in their age groups. And I believe Bill is the same age group as mine, so 55, 59, and then I think Oscar and Bill are in the same age group, mid-60s, and I think Charlie is either at the top end of that or he's getting ready to go into the next age group. So, if you want some help that I would be able to help you with, I'd like to encourage you to have fun, to get fit, and to live well. So if you're looking for maybe some faster times or some quicker recovery, you can check out my Sprint Fit program, and kind of holistic. We talk about everything from the nutrition and the mindset and the workouts, trying to help you get back up on the track, get there quickly. You can find out some information at everydaysprinter.com or at havefungetfitandlivewell.com. Thank you very much for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you back on the track.